All right, shall we?
Let's go.
Have you all got a new dram? Because we'll still do the round table, but then we'll go just straight into the chaos.
I have a new dram.
Yes, new dram here too.
Would you have always said new, or have you picked up new in America, or would you have said new originally?
A new dram. What did I say? New dram.
You said new, a new dram.
Dram.
I've got a new dram.
New dram.
What is the difference? Sorry, I can just.
I think you say new, Rachel, whereas I say new, like it's got a Y in it.
Say again.
New, as opposed to new.
There's a new guy. I say new. Yeah, I say new.
You do say new, yeah.
News now.
I think you do as well, Rachel.
New.
Is it an East Coaster thing, maybe?
You say I'm not from the East Coast. How dare you? Say it again. New.
New. I'd say
new or new.
New.
New's faster though, and Scots is all about speed, as little enunciation as possible to get it out.
Well, do you know, right? So there's a lot of things that annoy me because as you get older, more things annoy me, right? But it's when someone on TV, like a reporter, refers to the police as the police. Like, where's the O gone?
Police.
Like, we just dropped that now? Is that the rules?
Did we have this conversation before? I'm going to write a word.
Probably.
I'm going to write a word, right? And you're going to say it.
Bourbon.
All at once. You're going to say this word. Because I think somebody's messing with us, and they've changed how this. Right, you ready? In 3, 2, 1. And as soon as you see it, you all say it. Ready?
Okay. Debut.
Yeah.
Debut.
Right. In sport, pundits, a bunch of them say debut.
In British or American?
Aye. No, Britain. Debut.
But so are we agreeing that there's a Y in that, or is it the E that's the problem?
Debut.
The A or
Debut.
D?
Yeah.
Debut.
Yeah.
Debut. And I put the emphasis on the first part. I think, Rachel, you went with the second part.
Debut.
You were getting scarily close to the pundits saying debut.
Debut.
Oh, awkward. And I laughed
They've
at
got-
them as well.
Do you know, this is a hellish exercise at the start of a podcast to suddenly all become very self-conscious about how we speak.
Debut.
Right. Let's get on the new with your new dram.
No, just let's go for it. Like,
We're rolling. We can begin.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Wait, have I got a name? What have I got? The Dramface
Season finale.
That should be about the topic. I suppose.
you want to base it around this distillery thing?
The game. It's a bracket. It's the Fantasy League. I suppose that's it. The Dramface Fantasy League. It's alright. That'll do. Alright, here we go. Do you want? Hello, Dramfacers. Welcome to episode 24. The debut of a new game, which is the Dramface. The Dramface Fantasy League bracket. And I have destroyed Scott Monroe with that intro. How are we all?
I was fine until you said that, Gregor. I'm fine, thank you.
How are we all?
Great.
Good.
Grand.
Today we're still joined by Roy, Scott, Jen and Rachel. And I am still very, very hungover and drinking water. So it's the longest hangover known to man.
Or maybe, what if you were just drinking again the night before? Maybe.
It's another new hangover.
That's it. Exactly. That's it. It's a new one.
I think if the folk listening haven't worked out by now that we record these things two at a time,
I know.
they're certainly.
I just
working
like
it
I
out.
like pretending like nobody knows.
Me too.
But hey.
I like that as well, Gregor.
Yes. Well, since you like that, Rachel, what's in your glass?
I have got the LBD Wee Mongrel Batch 2.
Oh. No.
Which is just a blended malt of different delicious sherried whiskies. I don't think they're all Speyside. Are they, Jen, do you know if they're all... I don't think they're Speysides. I think I've probably made that up. But PX
You've
and all are
probably
also...
known at some point, but I don't know.
But yeah, 19-year-old blended malt that's delicious. Very tasty.
And the label is purple.
Yeah.
A Glengoyne in one of the first blind flights that I did with some friends was purple dot. I think that was subliminal. Do we agree? Could we agree a sherry dram could be purple if it was a colour?
Yes. For
Yeah.
me, yes, definitely.
Very often, yep.
Yeah.
But I also
Hmm.
know that I like Glenallachie's in my head right now because there's literally someone looking at it on the shelf and it's purple.
Right?
Yeah.
Jen, you seemed less convinced about the synesthesia.
I have two distinct drams that I would say taste purple, and they're Ardmore and Kilkerran, which I have in my glass just now. I've got the 8-year-old cask strength, but it's more of a. It's not just that it's sherried; it's that it's like floral and earthy at the same time,
Yeah.
and that makes it purple.
This is interesting because I had a discussion with Gordon, who's often on the podcast with us, this very evening. And he shared a colour of a whiskey. He was sipping Daffmill, and he shared it as a kind of lime green, a yellow lime green.
Ooh.
And we've talked in the past about tasting colour. Now, and I suggested immediately we need to do that as a topic one time, just exchange some blind drams, allocate a colour to them and see how much overlap there is likely to be. Of course, it's so subjective, right? It's very unlikely. But sometimes I hear people saying, oh, this is a very yellow dram. And I absolutely agree. It's quite interesting. And I don't know if we're tasting colour or we just associate a set of flavours with a colour.
It's a strange thing. I remember having a bottle of, I think it was Lechague from the SMWS, and it was like called Purple Relaxation. And it just tasted purple. Now, again, but everything about it
Digestion,
was
yeah,
purple.
yeah.
Like everything. And
Yeah.
that might sound really weird, but it was like perfectly named. But it
I
just
think
tasted
purple
like
is one of the most obvious ones to taste, though. Purple is quite a visceral colour. And
I'd get that from like a lollipop or like sweet that's purple, like fruits, sort of dark fruits sort of thing.
Mm.
yeah. I've got no idea what colour the whiskey I'm sipping right now is, but I'll go with dark red.
Dark
What are you
red.
drinking, Roy?
No, don't say, right, don't say.
Oh, sorry.
Come on,
Sorry.
it's dark red. It's dark red, Rachel. What do you think it is?
I want to say Long Row Red. But that's because
Well, I was going to say
Annunciation.
Glengarry. Glengarry is
Oh,
red to me, but it's an angry red.
Well,
Scott, where are you
Glengarry
going?
is a purple dram to Doogie Crystal that writes
Oh.
for Dramface. He writes about Glengarry and he calls it his purple whiskey. Interesting.
I'll stick to Lechague since I was talking about Lechague and that purple relaxation.
Yeah.
What is it, Roy?
No, it's a nod to Rachel. Actually, this is a Glenallachie.
Oh,
I
which
grabbed
one?
it.
I've
I
not tried
grabbed the
that one.
8-year-old.
Is it?
Um,
But is it good?
Well, it's my favourite out the range, and
Is it?
you and I have discussed this before. And if you've ever read a back label on a Glenallachie, they don't make any bones about it. Glenallachie is very much a cask story right now. What they're doing right now is they're leveraging and being really quite creative with their casks and their wood policy in order to, while they wait for their own spirit. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
This one, especially when I first opened it, is softened and rounded out a wee bit now. But for me, this 8-year-old was like just a lower ABV kind of take on their cask strength. And it was widely available and it was there everywhere at the time it came out. So, the cask strength just disappears, it evaporates. So I grabbed the 8-year-old and I've been quite enjoying my time with it. And as I sip it here just now, I am still enjoying it. I'd say I'd still put it ahead of quite a few others. I don't know if it's just because it's maybe just a nudge younger and there's a wee bit more spike from the spirit that's making me enjoy it a bit more. I don't know, but yeah, as I chew on it tonight, I would have to say I'd put this in the dark red camp.
Rachel, we have tried it.
We have tried that one. I thought it was
Yeah.
a different eight. I thought it was maybe the Scottish oak one. I didn't.
Oh
think
no,
that
because
was
I
very hard to
definitely
stop.
agree with Roy. It's like more lively than
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the
sorry.
12 and the 15.
I thought because they've come out with a bunch of like
Mm-hmm.
there's quite a few different 8-year-olds and different types of oak casks, like Spanish oak and Scottish oak, etc. But yes, the 8 I have tried and I remember discussing it. It's lovely, really good.
Yeah, when it came out, a lot of people were afraid that they were replacing the 12 with an 8, without thinking, no, they're just bringing out another expression. That's all.
Yeah.
The 12 is still their core, isn't it? But no,
Definitely.
it's safe.
Rach, what is it about Glenallachie that you're such a fangirl of?
I feel if I was going to be a cynicist, then I know it is the casks in it. It's all the use of sherry casks that they're using right now.
Mhm.
It's Billy Walker's magic touch.
Okay.
Some people might say that he goes to distilleries and uses up all their good casks, and then he sells the distillery and does the same at the next one. But if he does that well and makes really tasty whiskies while he's there,
Billy
Mhm.
Walker has
Yep.
taken Deanston, Glenallachie, Glenglassaugh, Glendronach, Benriach, all under the radar, unknown distilleries nobody gave a shit about, and he's turned them into something that people are raving about.
totally.
And if it ends up being a story of, oh yeah, he exhausted the warehouse of all the good casks, that's just all just utter. It's yin and yang. You've got to find it in something, the truth in the middle.
Yeah, and like
Did you say Deanston? Did he have something to do with Deanston?
Yeah, Billy Walker was part of Deanston. Yeah, back in the 90s.
How did I not know that?
Yeah, yep. Billy Walker was
That's gone right over my head.
yep, involved in Deanston in the 1990s.
But definitely,
Yeah.
like, it's the cast stuff with Glenallachie, but there's not to say there's no skill in that either. Like, that's also
Mhm.
And also, there's not to say that there's no enjoyment in that. See these people that come along, and perhaps I've been one of them in the past, and I don't want to come across like that, but where you go, oh yeah, but there's no spirit character here, it's all cask. That's still delicious liquid, you know, and sometimes you pick up a liquid that's got very little cask character in it at all, next to no wood influence, so it's all spirit, and that's still delicious.
Mhm.
And it's all kind of, it's all gradient, it's all kind of like, it's got to have balance, it's got to have balance. There's no such thing as balance without extremes. There's no such thing as anything in the middle without those extremes. So it's all kind of, it's all fine. The more that people are told that they're sipping or drinking it wrong because of one reason or another, I think the worse situation we find ourselves in. I just went on a wee mini rant there. I think
No, I like it. I like it. And I like that it was sherry, somewhat underpinned by sherry. And with that, we'll go to Monroe, lover of all things sherry.
Well, there's no sherry in my glass right now, so surprise, surprise. But no, I'm having a Bowmore 10 Tempest.
Nice.
This is batch 3. This is all first full bourbon cask matured whiskey. So this, I think they did 6. I think there was 6 releases of it. This one's from 2011, and yeah, it's just the way I like Bowmore, just like clean. It's like that. It's beautiful. It's young, but it's got that tropical notes there. So that kind of paper ashy kind of thing that you get in nice tropical Bowmores as well. So
Tell me, Scotty, did you pick that one up at auction?
I did, mate. I got it at auction and I paid 70 notes for it,
Well done.
which I
Well
thought
done.
was pretty reasonable.
Excellent.
And on the back of it, it's got the old price tag, which was £51 and 25 pence.
Yep.
Mm.
Yeah, it's also 55.6 ABV as well. Like, so it packs a punch, but it's just clean cut, no messing about. Bowmore the way it should be, you know. So I'd buy it if I saw it again for a good price. I'd buy it, definitely. Good stuff. I know you like the 15-year-old Fischel bottle from last year, Roy.
I did. Aye.
Bowmore. It's very similar to that.
Aye.
It's kind of a cross between that and the Atlantic sea salt.
Perfect. I
You know,
love
I
that.
bought 2 of them. I think, when we were there, Scott. One for me and Brody's stash. I'm putting a wee collection of
Brilliant.
whiskey for him when he's 21.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's a good whiskey as well. I mean, it really is good. So yeah, no messing about Bowmore. I wish they would do more of that, but I think
No.
rather than just limited releases, but it's
Love
good.
it. Well, there is only one reason we're here, and that is to create the ultimate whiskey fantasy list. But before we get there, I did want to pick Jen and Rachel's brains maybe just a little bit on your all things shop and market realities. I'm curious if you've been noticing any trends or changes in people's buying, spending. You know, we're in a time where a lot of whiskies are starting to price up in a way. Just curious, have you pivoted at all, or is there any changes or shifts that you've seen from people's buying habits?
Probably the main one I would have noticed is people are less snobby about blends,
Mm.
and more people are more open to tasting. Whereas before, a lot of people were just like, "Nope, it's got the word blend on it. It's not for me." Whereas if you now blended malt, even blends, newer blends, people are a bit more open to that.
Yep.
That's good to hear.
yeah, definitely.
Mm.
A lot more collectors.
Oh,
A lot
Mm.
more collectors. I think the last year, probably like fourfold of the year before, of people that'll come in and just disclose straight away, don't like whiskey, don't drink it, I collect it and I sell it. as soon as they come in.
Wow.
I'm like, well, I'm less prone to help you then, to be honest. Okay.
And but that's flipping rather than collect, or like, because I think there's a slight delineation, right, or differentiation.
I think you get different levels of people with that. But I suppose you get people who are good at flipping and will choose bottles and know that they won't probably find bottles in our shop they'll make money from, because those bottles will have been sold within 48 hours of arriving to the shop. And then people who are obviously getting more into whiskey, but they don't drink it yet, but they like to collect it and might sell the occasional bottle.
Okay.
And then you get some that come in just like on a random day and they'll just say, I'm looking for, I don't know if you'll have heard of it, I'm looking for a bottle called Spring Bang. And you're like, no, that came in 3 weeks ago and was gone on the day.
Aye. That sounds like that Yellow Pages J.R. Hartley.
Yeah.
Looking for the book that he wrote. But that example only resonates with half of the audience right now, because I could see the blank stares from Jen and Rachel like, what? First of all, what are Yellow Pages?
Would you have a copy of Fly Fishing by J.R. Hartley?
Something rings a bell.
The only thing is, though, Gregor, at the end of that advert, he gets that book, right? You get no chance
Yes,
to Spring Bang.
No.
What, is that a man who went to the Yellow Pages to look for a very specific
A book that he wrote, because I'll send you
That's
the
a
link.
spoiler,
there.
yeah.
Oh yeah, that sounds cool. That sounds nice.
He said, yeah, you have one, wonderful. He said, I'll be in to pick it up in the morning. Oh, you need a name? Yes, it's J.R. Hartley.
Everyone's greeting. Beautiful.
That's right.
Oh, that's so nice. That's so
We have
much
completely
nicer than our
spoiled it
thing
for you now, but hey, it's all good. See if it still connects in the same way. Awesome. No, great. No, good to know. And particularly about around the blends, it does feel like there is a movement happening, much like the younger stated whiskies coming out at the right time. You know, it was the right thing to happen. It feels like people are starting to build the blends for the time now as well. I know it's recent right now.
It's not because people are suddenly opening their minds.
No.
It's because there's some fantastic products coming along to change your minds.
Yeah.
Stevenson Brothers with their turntables, Thompson Brothers with their TB, BSW, their 6-year-old is Adelphi with McLean's
And
Nose.
the same probably for age statements as well.
Yeah.
People are not as bothered about an age statement as they have been in the past as well.
Yeah.
Because of all the new distilleries.
Probably.
Yeah. Bringing really flavourful, fantastic things at a young age.
There's a good one though. Could you isolate a single bottle that you think had the bigger impact on the age statement shift?
Oh. To make us more open to younger age statement.
Just thinking back through, right? Because we've experienced it, we've gone through it. I'll say it for me. I think Wee Beastie.
Well, before Wee Beastie, there was Glendronach's 8-year-old Healing, and then Lagavulin 8-year-old came out, and they put an 8 on the front label, which was a big deal at the time.
There's also a Ben Rumach 5-year-old as well. I seem to remember back about.
That's right. I remember the 5-year-old.
Yeah.
Was that a triple distilled? Though?
I can't remember, Roy. I remember it being about 30 quid a bottle for 5. For at least I bought it. Thought it was quite interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting. It is quite nice to see things change though. The blends. I mean, the Compass Box were obviously doing blended stuff for years, but you're right. There's something at the moment seems to be. I guess it's maybe value. People are looking. We all don't have as much money to spend, and maybe we're looking for value. I mean, that McLean's Nose we've been talking about
Definitely
was 70% malt in that blend. That's and what Thompson Brothers were doing, as you say. There's just good quality blends coming out just now. So I just think it's really encouraging. I think it's really nice to see. I mean, I've been at a whiskey festival and heard someone right beside me say, "I don't do blends," to the exhibit, and they said, "Just try." It's like, nah, I'm not here for blends. And I was like, man, why would you close your mind off like that? Why not just try it?
I'd be like, give me 10 minutes of your time.
Honestly, your approach is so much nicer than mine, Roy. If I wasn't in my work, I'd smack you with a bottle. Come on, get a grip.
Yeah.
Try it. What's your problem? I find that so bizarre.
Look at the opposite ends of the scale. The scale here, you're all trying to help him fix him. I'd be like, wank.
I do that in my work. I'm like, oh really? Why is that? And I'll talk you through. But in my personal life, it is a spirit all made of the same thing.
Yeah.
So why? Because it's got the word blend in front of it. You've decided it's not for you. It's just like, Christ, you must be so boring. in your life. You must be
But
so
it-
lucky.
but it
Particularly
does need-
blended malts, trying to explain to people what a blended malt is. It's the exact same
Yeah.
ingredients, it just comes from more than one location. And then
Yeah.
they see something kind of click there. And sometimes they're like, oh, okay, maybe. And sometimes they're like, nope, nope, nope.
But that's the thing, Jen, and I think that's what Rachel's touched upon, is that it's a guiding hand, because
Definitely.
people are absolutely, there's not, it's not that they're stupid or anything. They've convinced themselves through experience that that's what they're enjoying. Everything that they've touched that they really love is a single malt, so that's it. And everything that they hate from their memory is a blend, an old cheap rough ass blend. So they're going to come up with that conclusion. But if you can start to shed concepts, you shed light on concepts for them, such as you've just pointed out.
Yeah, because it's the whiskey industry's marketing that has done that in the first place. So
Definitely. That's why we tried to point out in tastings as well. Like, all the preconceptions you have are marketing that have been fed to you, and you're rabbiting them back at me now. Because a lot of the thing with whiskey is about tradition and authenticity, right? And blend
Yep.
used to be seen as much better than single malts. And if it was too old, also, that used to be not good either. It used to be over oaked. So
That's right.
it's just trying to tap into that understanding. But I think what you were saying, Roy, you did with your Indian whiskey is you try and get them to try it without telling them too much about it. That's the best way. And then you're like, haha, that's foreign.
Yeah.
Or haha, it's a blend.
But even then, see if you do the haha, so what you do is you go right,
Yes, of course.
like
yeah,
positively excited about it
Yeah.
as well, and I hope that they can maintain some excitement as well, because
for sure.
as you kind of open their mind. And people always say, I've had people literally come up to me and say, Roy, you need to make a bit more of an effort, to talk about Scotch. I'm like, what? I love Scotch. This is what I talk about all the time.
Oh, I wouldn't agree
And
with that. I think you
yeah.
talk about Scotch lots. Yeah.
And the thing is that I always say that the thing that guarantees good quality Scotch whiskey more than anything else is good quality world whiskey, specifically
Mhm.
good quality English whiskey, right?
Yeah.
That's going to make, because Scotch can only remain where it is if it remains worthy to be where it is. And people are not stupid. And, if we just say, yeah, Scotch is best, and then you sip it blind and you go, geez, no. So it needs to, if it's going to continue to be, it shouldn't be best. It should just only be Scotch.
Yeah.
And it can do what it does best, play to its strengths, be as experimental and playful as possible, keep it fun and fair and integrity forward, flavour forward, all of those things. And we'll all talk about Scotch. It'll be automatic. The reason that we're talking about these world whiskies is because they're amazing, some of them, right?
Yep.
As we talk about like blinding and going up against closed minds or conditioned minds, my local bar, local Scotch bar, he was telling me that he blinded, I think it was quite a regular, with, I think it was a Japanese whiskey made from rice, right? Like, I forget the name. It was sherried. I think it was 8 years old. It was interesting stuff. But he blinded him on it, and then he must have triggered him, because when he told him what it was, the guy was angry, because I guess his perceptions and his beliefs, were shaken, and it was not a positive. It was not a positive exchange. He said.
That's really
That's a
strange,
funny one.
isn't it? That's really odd that someone would be angry about a new experience, like, a new whiskey, a new taste,
You
Odd.
brought something to me that I love,
Yes,
Well,
exactly.
and
yeah.
it's
odd.
something that I've decided I cannot love.
Huh?
How dare you?
More like you've challenged my beliefs and you've brought something
Right.
to me that
Right.
disproves something I so fundamentally believed and told you. So it's like you've rattled their wee whiskey world,
Yeah.
and you
Aye.
can be happy about that and be like, oh wow, or you can be like, I'm really angry, I was wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing worse. I spend my
not
life
to
being
be.
corrected by my kids. I know the bitter taste of being wrong. It's horrible, right? It's like,
Do you know what I'm not wrong about is rye.
Nah, you are wrong about rye.
What are your thoughts on rye?
It's the devil's grain, and it shouldn't exist.
Right, so Gregor, like I'm maybe off at a tangent here, but we tried some grain whiskey, so rye whiskey at the Glasgow Whiskey Club last week, Roy. It was the oh Christ, I can't remember the name.
wait, Inchtairney's Rye Law
Yeah, the Rye Law.
and the Brooklady Regeneration Project.
Yeah, so you wouldn't like the Brooklady, Gregor, but you might have liked the other one.
Absolutely no
Inchtairney.
doubt you would have liked the
I think you'd
Inchtairney.
liked it, man.
And I've kept a rye here specifically with Gregor in mind. The next time that he's here, so that I can just give them it and say, not all ryes are what you're getting soap and you're getting this bizarre spice and things. And I get it, I understand it, but
I'll quote one of the greatest TV shows ever made, Chewing the Fat. I smell shite.
I can definitely smell shite.
What do you not like about rye?
Let's not go into it. We've laboured it. It's just it's running joke now with me, but
That's fair. That's
all
fair.
good. No, it triggers me. There's nothing pleasant in my honestly. I've been blinded it. Martin, one of the community, blinded, and he put 2 ryes in, and I put them at the bottom. I was like, there's something not right there. So I trust my palate, but I also trust Roy's and Scott's. I am open. I'm not.
And listen, we've had our victory, Rachel, right? We got Gregor last year to finally accept that he loves peaty whiskies.
Yes.
So we're just one challenge every couple of years, okay? Rye is next on the list.
Slow movements.
That might be a few more years. Well, cool. Thanks for the warm up there. What we're really here for though is our Dramface Fantasy League bracket. So for those that are playing along, what you should have is a bit of research or a bit of decision making, and you've got a wee top 5 and a wee subs bench of another 5. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through a round robin, and we're going to change the orders of who goes first. And it's you've got like your first pick. So whoever's first up, you get to pick your number 1. That's locked in. That's your number 1. And then the next person has to go through theirs. And you go person by person. And we're going to do that 5 times. And we're going to end up with our top 5. If somebody picks yours, you can't pick it anymore. So that distillery is gone. It's gone to their fantasy island. And it's on their place.
So we could theoretically need to have a list of 20 distilleries.
Maths isn't my strongest. So, we'll go... You can freestyle this as well, for sure.
Sure. I like it.
So you're going to end up, we're all going to end up with our top 5 by the battle, by going through it. And then I think we'll figure out what we do with that 5 after. But for you to play along at home, obviously it's a tough one for you because you're not playing real time. So just you play as best you can. The only other caveat was that one of our choices has to be a non-Scotch distillery. So that could get interesting as well.
So are you going to call when it's the non-Scotch round then?
No, that's for you to choose when to play that card, play that hand.
Oh.
So you need to decide. Maybe before we go right into it, if we could talk broadly about how you've tried to choose what without going into specifics, because don't use names. It's just the general. If you had to pick a few points of how you approached your top 5 and potential subs bench, Rachel, you were nodding the most there. How did you approach it?
I was just nodding along like I was listening. No, I'm joking. I was obviously listening.
The teacher just catch you dozing off.
That is good. Though. That is good that I look like I'm listening all the time. Good to know. No, I was. So I found this extremely difficult, to be honest, to choose just 5. Imagining now as football players, then that makes it slightly easier in a way. If I had like a team of 5 that all had to be quite like different but complementary. But so I looked at what whiskies do I order most and drink most, and maybe a few sentimentally things as well.
Right. And I should say, I think I said in the brief, it can be a closed, a gone, a ghost distillery. If you want to get granular and say it's this distillery at that time, that's also okay. So there's a little bit of even you see the potential in a distillery, and it's like, well, if you're a bit like we talked in the last episode of Almost, like what would you fix about it? That could be an aspect as well. But hey ho, Jen, what about you? How did you approach?
I tried to. I think knowing nothing about football, didn't understand that whole thing. But I think the way that Rachel says, trying to get them all to be different things. So I kind of tried to get like 5 that would suit like 5 different moods and different occasions and things. So that I wouldn't be sad about there only being 5 left. I would still quite happily be able to have different whiskies for different occasions.
Right. Good. And it's good that we're having this conversation because it's still to play out.
Mm-hmm.
You've picked, but you've not picked. It's now, this is just the homework, so it could be fun. Roy, Scott, any thoughts before we go into it?
My picks are just distilleries and bottles or distilleries that I've really enjoyed in the past, and a few kind of wild cards in there, ones that I think could do better, but I still love what they do. But yeah, I agree with what Rachel said at the top. It was really difficult to try and narrow it down to just this limited few. So yeah, but yeah, things I've just enjoyed. I mean, well, I've been drinking whiskey for just 10 years, and it's just things that I've really enjoyed, things I still enjoy, and maybe some things that are just hard to get hold of now.
I think I made a mess of this.
No, you've not. You've not. But it's not happened yet. You're talking future tense.
Well, I think I came to this a whole lot less personal
That's
and
okay,
was
though.
tried to play a lot more competitive. I think I've messed this. I think I've
No.
lost the spirit of it.
Again.
So I went for I think I've specifically avoided distilleries that I think Monroe would pick, right? And I've avoided distilleries that I think Jen and Rachel might pick, and I've gone for distilleries that I think. Oh, I think we just need to play this out.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Aye.
matter if we
Well,
make a
that's
mess.
you've tried to
Is
play.
there any
it-
is there any kind of like booby prizes or
We'll
I think
figure
you're
that out.
I think you're disqualified, Roy, for just trying to play the system.
Well, I like that
Fair
you were
enough.
trying to get your 5 through fully, unchallenged, was what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Whereas I think when you go through this process, it is about the elbowing each other out. So with that, let's go. So I've got an order here. What I would suggest is you still probably keep your list as you are creating it as well, and I'll do the same. But
So it's going to change in real time, isn't it?
exactly, I don't know if this is any entertainment value at all. We shall see in the comment section. Like I said, apologies and you're welcome. Either
Or-
one, you choose.
I would also just say, when you're listening, just before pause here and go and pour a large one. You might need.
Yeah.
Aye. All right. So first up in round 1, I'll tell you the order. It's going to go Jen, Scott, Roy, Gregor, Rachel. So Jen, you get your first pick, unfiltered by anyone, unchallenged. You get to choose.
Gold.
Go for it.
I'm glad because this is the one I wanted. This is the one that was the top for me. Tobermory.
Okay.
Specifically Leipzig if I have to pick one, but Tobermory.
Tobermory.
And preferably before they stopped making the 10-year-old.
Okay.
You still have a love of the old 10?
Mm-hmm.
Ah.
I've converted a few people. I've kept a bottle, opened it recently, and I got Rachel to try blind between the old 10 and the new 12. And a few other people. And most people who were convinced they didn't like the old 10 preferred the old 10, tasting it blind.
It was quite a
Okay,
subtle
well.
whiskey though, wasn't it? Right.
I don't know, maybe.
In my memory, I need,
Quite
and I'm
salty,
one of those. I'm
quite-
one of those that needs convinced, Jane. So
Mm,
a
I've
revisit.
still got some.
All good.
Try some.
All right. Next up, with your first pick, would be Scott.
So I'm going pretty obvious
Yeah.
right off the bat.
Bam
So
stick.
I've picked Clynelish, obviously. But as we know, Clynelish is just basically, apart from the 14, unobtainable now. But, I've criticised on the podcast before about recent batches of the 14, which have just disappointed me. So I'm maybe going back a bit of time when it really was that beautiful paraffin-y, waxy vanilla candle type thing. And it's a lottery when you buy a Clynelish, even at auction or pick one up. You never know what you're going to get. But Clynelish to me has brought me probably some of my favourite, most memorable whiskey moments, and I dearly love it. And I just wish we could still get it. So that's my number one.
And you've stolen it. You've stolen it from us. You bastard.
You picked the order, mate. So
I know. I actually, I would like to point out, I put me second last on the first go round. I wasn't rigging this, and there's a logic to that as well. Rachel, is why I've done this order, because it's going
Are
to
you going
flip.
to take Glenallachie from me, Gregor?
No, it's going to flip. So you're actually going to go first on the next one. Roy,
Don't worry.
you're next. You're next up. You get to choose.
Oh, Springbank. I have to. I mean, honestly, it's a personal thing. It's a popular thing. It's the populist thing to do and say amongst our community, no doubt about it. If I didn't choose Springbank, there would be more questions than choosing it, I think. I actually thought that there might have been a glimmer. There's a couple on my list that were Scotty claims, and I thought he might have tried to claim Springbank.
Nope.
Okay, can I get it then? Am I allowed it?
You've got it. You've got it.
You got it, man.
And this is where it gets fun, because 2 of mine have gone, and I now need to pivot as to what I was thinking. And I was even going to pick my non-Scotch first.
Oh,
Just to get, because I didn't want to not have it, if you get me. Like, I didn't want anything
for somebody else to steal it.
bourbon. But I would be trying to scratch that Springbank or Clenleash itch. So I'm guessing I would have to go Brora then for mine, because it's probably only going to be the thing that gets me there.
Wow.
And it was on my list. I had Clenleash and Brora tied. Anyway, there we go. Rachel, you get to go next.
This is difficult because I feel I've got to choose strategically on what other people might have on their lists. So I feel with that in mind, I'm going to go Glen Scotia right now.
Call.
Very
So I'm
good.
sorry, taking that
Not
off
a call I'm happy about, but fair enough.
you. And why Glen Scotia? They're awesome. I love all their whiskies. Double cask. When I was starting to drink more whiskey, I remember being like, that is a banging dram. I used to buy that quite frequently. Limited editions are always great. First bottling we did the shop was Glen Scotia, and I absolutely loved it. So, yeah, good, amazing dram. Love their stuff. Me and Jen, before the McLean's Nose event, went to the SWMS in Edinburgh, which I hadn't been to before, just to their general bit, not the members bit. And Jen, you got a Glen Scotia, and it just reminded me again of how weird and funky Glen Scotia can be as well. So it can be weird and funky. So I feel it's a good all-rounder.
What fills me full of excitement, and I think the best thing about Glen Scotia, is I have a sneaky suspicion we've not even seen what it's going to be capable of yet. It's just getting better and better all the time.
Yep.
Good call.
That was on my list as well, Rachel, and I've written pretty much what you said. It's a favourite, it's a staple, and it's got lots of different things, and it can be weird.
Yeah, definitely. It's quite small production still, so sorry, I did anticipate one of you having that more than my other one, so I grabbed it.
I like it. Well, this is where it gets fun, because in this next round, second round, you're first up.
Oh, well, I could take Glenallachie then, but... Oh,
How much hate would be involved if one of us took it?
I'll find you. I'll come to your house. No, I'm joking. I won't. Right. Oh, I'm struggling between Glenallachie and another one. So... Okay, so I'm going to actually just pull a wild card and not go Glenallachie. I'm going to go Bunnahabhain for my next one.
Ooh.
And that's another kind of nostalgia dram. So when I first started working at Deanston, I lied to say that I liked Bunnahabhain. And then I ended up really liking Bunnahabhain. So great. Bunnahabhain 18 particularly. More so also when it was £85 to buy and not over 100.
Yeah.
Those were good times. And also Bunnahabhain, good chunky history. Obviously Isla, so you've got a choice of peated and non-peated. And all of their limited editions, you know the wee 20cl bottles they do for the festivals, they're always delicious. So, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny, it didn't make it to my list, but it was knocking on the door.
I have also just tried to write it. It's one of the other things I love about Bunnahabhain is it's fun to drink and fun to say, and it's fun to watch foreign people try to pronounce it. So even now, after maybe like 2 drams, I've written Bunnahabhain, and I know how to spell that. I've put extra N's and A's in places, and I like that. I think that's fun.
That should be their coterie. Their next coterie release is that's the name.
Bunnahabhain.
And interestingly, there was a Untold Riches release from Williams Malts, a 28-year-old a couple of years ago, where they did misspell it.
Yes.
Akin to that, yes.
We had that in the shop, and they'd missed the H in the wrong way or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Awesome. Love
I'm
that.
next, and I'm changing my tactic because I think, like you were saying, you probably want to get the things that the others would pick if that was your lane. So I'm trying to defend here because I don't think
If you
many
want
of you are
Glenallachie, Gregor, you're in America, so it'll take me a while to get there.
Yeah,
I am off next week though, so
It's a funny. I might anyway. I won't say too much. Okay, I'm gonna go with Aaron.
Oh, right in the feels.
because of what I just said. I think that was going to go to someone else if I didn't get it,
Yep.
and I need it. So there we go. Sorry. Next up would be Roy.
I'm torn here. But I know it's mine if I say it, so I'm just going to say it. But there's two I want to say. So. Glengyle. Oh, I got a Scotty. I got one over on Scotty.
So you've not left Campbelltown yet, Roy?
There's nothing wrong with that, big guy.
Very good. Scott, you're up next.
Yeah, but gutted with the Glengyle. But there we go.
Sorry, big guy.
It's okay. It's all right. Right, so I'm
You
gonna
took Klein Leash?
That's true. I'm also going to take Longmorn.
Ah!
Mm-hmm.
Because I mentioned that Klein Leash is becoming unobtainable. Longmorn's kind of replaced Klein Leash for me in a lot of ways when I'm buying stuff. I just love the profile of it. I love the taste of Longmorn. The older bottles are great, but even the 18-year-old you can get now, it's still expensive, but it's still a really good dram.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah, Longmorn is just a whiskey I really, really enjoy. And I've been drinking a lot of it. Well, I've been buying a lot of it over the last few years just to enjoy when I can't have my Klein Leash anymore. So yeah, Longmorn, it's fantastic. So that'd be my pick.
I find it a
Very
bit
good.
nippy when it's younger, but if
Yeah.
it's got a good age on it. Yeah.
I would say that there's some out there that are kind of, I guess like any whiskey, there's going to be some, the casks aren't any sparklers, but they can be pretty generic tasting, some of the younger ones. But yeah, if you just plonk Longmorn into a bourbon barrel and leave it for 18 to 25 years, you're laughing. So yeah, Longmorn for me.
Good.
Nice.
And IB's more than core now, or
Well,
any?
to be honest, I mean, I say the core range, so the old 16 olive colour, olive and white bottle, and the old 15, the kind of orange label, are lovely whiskey. But I say the 18 you can get right now is expensive, but it's still a really good dram. So I think it's a bit of both, Gregor. I'm kind of being a bit nostalgic with the older stuff, but I think the newer stuff's still worth a punt. You know what I mean? I think £100 for the 18-year-old is still a stretch. It's just gone up in price. It used to be about 85, I think. It's now over 100. It then becomes a kind of maybe purchase. But
And also, what I'd say, it's part of the Secret Speyside collection, which is not going to be around forever. It's going to be one of those get it while you can. Super complex. It's not bourbon or sherry. It's somewhere in the middle, Scotty, right? It's just plain.
It's just that the character of it's beautiful.
Sparkles. It really sparkles. Yeah.
So that's my second pick.
Very good. Jen, you're up.
I'm like jumping about here. I'm not sure whether to go with. I think I might actually now, because a couple of mine have gone now, so I think I might dip into my reserve list. I think I'm putting some of them ahead now. I'm going to go Ardnamurchan. Sorry.
Look at Roy suffer.
Yeah.
Just take it in.
Yeah,
Roy
that
suffers.
was so. I picked Glengyle over Ardnamurchan, and that's the only one that's truly hurt so far.
Even although
Yeah,
I'm
again,
sat,
it's just because
You're
you
welcome.
get peated and unpeated, and it's new.
Aye.
So I think we've it's amazing already, but we've not seen the best of what it's going to produce.
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, the
It's just such
potential,
an
the
exciting
potential's
time,
a
right?
good way. Picking off potential is an interesting one. That should be maybe that's one in the next brief. We get pretty particular. Anyway, right, where are we? So round 3. First up, Roy Duff.
Now I'm under pressure. See, I was comfortable, but now they're all disappearing. They're falling like flies, right? Nobody's gone world whiskey yet, right?
Nope.
Okay. No, I'm going to stick with the program because I'm going to go out there a little bit. I'm going to go, if we're talking about optimism for the future, if we're talking about zeitgeisty and available right now and making ripples, waves, drawing attention, changing their colours, I'm going to go Loch Lomond. I've got swear words for Scotty. That's a good thing. I've got slight grinding of teeth from Jen. I don't know what that means. I don't know.
Just that I hadn't thought of that one.
Oh,
So that could have been on there, but
Yeah, it was on my reserve. It was on my second list. Just
Yeah, it's a great one because much like
I've left one on the list because it's for you, Scotty. I can't take it unless things
What's-
get
what's-
really evil.
What's good about Loch Lomond though is it is a bit like Willy Wonka. You can pretty much be making anything out of there. So
Yeah,
a bit like you said, Jen, about Ardna being both. It can be anything.
Loch Lomond stuff right now. I just think the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, you just can't go wrong with it. And I've
it's
said
gone from
before-
ignore to canny ignore
Aye.
in a very
Yeah.
short space of
As
time.
I say, I think you can pick up, if you're looking for value in whiskey, any of the 12-year-old, the Inchmore, the Inchburn, the standard 12, all good prices, and they deliver. They're really good drams. So, and the more expensive stuff's good as well. But for value for money,
Aye,
really
and
good.
they're treating us with their playful stuff as well.
Sure, yeah.
Distillery exclusives and crazy stuff. Great stuff.
All right,
Good.
next up, Rachel, you get to go.
I'm not going to go with my international one because I don't think anyone else will do it. But then I'm stuck between my other two. So I think I'm just going to go for the one I'm already thinking. Kalila.
Kalila.
Yeah, good shout.
I thought you might
Kalila.
have that on there.
Yeah. So Kalila, that's another nostalgia one. So it's first peaty whiskey that I really liked. Unpeated Kalila is also delicious. Really peachy. Love Kalila for that. And it's quite versatile. So I'm going to go stick. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
Absolutely, and I had a VPub a long time ago, and it was a kind of confessional thing talking about how many bottles in the collection and how many bottles of what were in the collection. And to my absolute shock and amazement, the whiskey I had more of than anything else in my collection was Kalila.
Yeah.
Completely surprised.
Yeah.
And yet when you think about it for a nanosecond, it's not a surprise. But yeah.
Nah, it's such a safe bet. Kalila really into it.
Yeah, as the famous phrase goes, it's hard to screw up a Kalila.
So, and that's the safety in a Kalila, isn't it? No matter. So, I think that's one of the reasons you see, obviously, Diageo produce so much, but I think that probably they're less shy about letting people use the name because the spirit's so tasty. I don't know.
Is it?
Yeah.
Do people not often say it plays nice? Plays nicely in a blend the most as well.
Not heard that, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if someone said that.
I think even now though, Kalila still in some ways flies under the radar a wee bit, because I think when you talk to whiskey enthusiasts, there's so much good Kalila out there that people maybe get a bit bored of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Too consistent.
Too consistent,
Yeah.
but it's so good. It's just so good, But I think it's a great shout. I didn't have it on my list actually, and I didn't even think about Kalila, but it's a brilliant shout because it's a
Thank
great
you.
distillery.
It's partly, it goes against my models because I don't want to choose a big distillery brand, but realistically speaking, they're all multimillionaires that own these distilleries, so they're all huge, massive corporations. So I'm going to go with Kalila.
And just on pure drinking and
I love Kalila
accessibility,
drinking's awesome.
yeah, you can't.
Have you
argue
had
with it.
unpeated Kalila?
Yeah, I've
Yes,
had a 15
yeah.
before, Rachel, and I've had I had it. I bought a bottle. I had a chocolate and Kalila appeared at the distillery, and that was the
yes.
first time I had the 15-year-old, and it's a great whiskey. It's just
So
fantastic.
nice.
I've not tried the 18 though. I think it's an 18, but I've not tried that one.
Yeah.
Only tried the 15 as well, and
Yeah.
I thought it was so tasty. And I
Yeah.
think it was when I was still learning about whiskey, and it was cool to try the peated and unpeated spirit to be like, if I taste beyond the peat, then I can get these other flavors, which is
Yeah.
cool.
That's a great whiskey.
Good stuff. Well done, Rach. So I've got me next, and it's funny. I think a few of us were kind of skirting around the same thing of like, when do we shoot our shot for our non Scotch, and that's where I'm going. And I'm taking this because as more I try bourbons and other
Ooh, he's in
stuff,
America.
the window starts to narrow, the edges get smaller, the box gets smaller, and I'd be pretty miserable if I didn't have this, because of I realise most all bourbons I like are coming from here, and I would have to take Buffalo Trace.
Nice.
It's a big distillery to take.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's a good
And
shout though, man.
it's a bit of a gimme because I get so much stuff
Yeah.
from it. You get Weller, you get
The only way you
Stag.
could beat that is
Mm.
by going with, what's the big
Don't
one
you
in
better not say
Indiana?
it because someone might have it, Roy.
yeah, sorry.
helping the crowd. Next up, Jen, is your third shot.
Oh. So, I'm not sure what way to go now. So, should I go with my non-Scotch?
We've got 2 left to choose, and I'd choose the one that you think other people would choose, to be honest, Jen.
Really? Oh. Okay, I'm going to go Ardbeg. Just for like a
Ooh.
mega PT. Love it.
What was
That's it.
what have you got? Ardnarkin and Ardbeg. What was your other one?
Tobermory.
Tobermory.
Duh, sorry, got it. Right, cool.
All right, Scotty, you're up.
Right, okay. Excuse me. I'm going to just kick in there a wee cheeky wee Glen Elgin.
Oh.
Again, this is more based on my independent bottles of Glen Elgin I've had. But yeah, again, it's that profile. Again, I'm more bourbon cask led. Yeah, I think it's a great distillery. I think their regular bottle isn't anything special in my mind, but indie Glen Elgins can be just beautiful whiskies. So yeah, I'm going to go for Glen Elgin.
Nice. Very good. All right, we're into the home stretch. 2 more slots in your dream lineup. All other distilleries are going to cease to exist, and you're drinking this stuff for the rest of your days.
So that means for most of us, for 3 of us, it's 1 Scotch
Yep.
and 1 world whiskey
That's
left.
right. Who's first this time, Gregor?
It's me.
Okay.
Ooh.
Arna Markin's gone. See, now I've probably got to go watch. I just want to see her reaction. I think I now have to pick my sherry dram.
Go for it, mate. Go for it. Go for it. You live in Portland, don't you?
Rachel doesn't know where that is, so that's okay.
Not again. Cool. I've
Where
written
am
that
I?
down.
Where am I going?
Honestly, I'm joking. You take Billy if you need to take Billy.
Well, I will
I won't be
in
angry.
a way, but I'm going to take it under the premise that I can fix it and right the wrongs. And so I'm actually going to take Glendronach.
That was what I was going to take if you took Glen Alki.
Mm.
So fair enough. So I wasn't too worried. I'd be like, I'll take Glendronach 10 years ago.
It was a toss-up for me between Glengoyne and Glendronach, but if I think about how many Glendronach 18s I've stashed, I think that answers it for me. So Glendronach.
So it is so good. The older Glendronachs I much prefer than the older Glen Alkis I've had so far, but that's obviously for time in the
Sure.
distillery or
Yeah.
bottling.
Mm.
Yeah.
So Scott, you get to pick now.
Right, I'm going to go for my world whiskey. Right. Very similar to what you said, Gregor. I really struggle with this one because although I've had whiskies from all over the place, I don't buy them that often, if you know what I mean. So I went for how many bottles that I've had from certain places. So my world whiskey is going to be Heaven Hill, because of the Elijah Craig, Pikesville Rye, Rittenhouse. What else do they do? Larceny, and even the humble Mellow Corn. I've enjoyed all these whiskies, especially Elijah Craig, the barrel proof stuff. So Heaven Hill, I've bought
I love it.
a stack from them, so I'd say them for my world.
So that
A
sounds
good
very
choice,
much.
man.
Well, that sounds very much like it was the one that you would have picked. Is that right?
Me?
Your world. No, Scott. That was very well researched to the point that was your first choice of your other.
It was. I mean,
Other
there
world.
was another distillery in there that I won't
Okay.
mention in case it's. But
Okay.
to me, it was about. Again, there's no point talking about money because all whiskey's expensive. But Elijah Craig Barrel Proof has done me. Those bottles are fantastic, and they have been all the way back. So I've had a lot of enjoyment out of those. And I say even the Humble Mellow Corn bottom shelf in the States, but here it's a bit pricier. Even I love that stuff as well. Like
Love it.
So yeah.
Good stuff. So next up is Jen. You get to go.
Oh, I wasn't expecting that. I was. Oh, right. Okay. 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 I think I'm gonna go because all of the other ones I've done so far, they've all apart from Ardbeg, which is all peaty pretty much, but they've all been peated and unpeated. But I just noticed in my notes I'm not very good at typing on my phone. Some of my notes I've made are that this one is planted and unpleated. Instead of peated and unpeated. But yeah, I'm going to go to the other end of the scale now and go Glentalkers.
Oh, good call.
Because
Great call.
it's a Speyside, it's light, but it's got like that kind of heavy, waxy. So I was kind of between that and Mortlach, but yeah, Glentalkers.
It's always juicy fruit for me.
Yeah,
It's
that's
just
good too.
fruity.
Yeah, like it's weirdly it's never one I think of buying, but every one I taste, I think I need to buy more Glentalkers.
But it's just so underrepresented. I mean, it's just if you don't get an indie, there's just the official bottlings are paltry and poor. The Ballantines is the only one I can think of actually as an official. So yeah, but lovely representation from indies. Superb distillery.
Good stuff. Roy, you get to pick next.
Right, I could choose one just to see the heart in Monroe.
But bear in mind, this is going to get voted on. So you're actually trying to get your list as
Thanks, Gregor,
dialed
man.
as possible.
Cheers,
Oh, I know.
Gregor. Appreciate that.
It's worth it to see the heart.
No, okay.
Okay, here goes. Ben Romack.
There's no despair here. Can you see despair?
I know, buddy. I know, buddy. I was just trying to make you sweat for a little bit. I left the Innis for a wee bit to go. I can't do that. I'm going to choose Ben Romack.
Good stuff.
By the way, we had a recent discussion on almost distilleries.
Sure. Yeah.
It's on my list, but it's also a contender for an almost distillery. Ben Romack, get your finger out. There's very little for you to do to your core range to make it resplendent. Stop neutering. It's an amazing spirit you're making. Let it fly.
Here. Absolutely.
Let it flow. Let it flow.
That's Gregor. That's beautiful, man.
Rachel was vibing. Rach, you're up.
Was that a song or your own tune?
Well, it was "Let It Flow," but in the sound of "Let It Snow" from Frozen.
I was like,
Let it
rain
go.
thing.
I
Oh,
can't
let it
believe
go.
I'm,
Sorry.
I can't believe I'm correcting you on my Disney princesses, but it's let it go.
Yeah, "Let It Snow's a whole nother thing. Anyway, Rach, you're up.
That was good. Cool. So I'll go for Glenallachie now.
Hey.
So now I've taken maybe one of your last ones, Gregor. Gregor, what was your? I've got Anne, Buffalo Trace, and Glendronach. What was your other one?
Me, I've got Brora, Aaron.
Brora. Got it.
Yeah.
Got your other ones. That's fine. So yeah, I'm Glenallachie then. I've got all my choices so far.
Hey.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good sense check. How are we doing? Jen, how many of your ideals have gone through?
I've chopped and changed too much. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Tobermory, Ardnamurchan,
I've changed them
Ardbeg,
myself
and
without them
Glentalkers.
being taken. Actually, weirdly.
So you reacted to everybody else's logic and
I
choices.
think so. Yeah.
That's a good way to take agency of things, isn't it?
I've done okay. I've got Clynelish, Longmorn, and Heaven Hill. I lost Glengyle, so I've got 4. Well, I've got one more.
That
to
was
go.
in my second. That was in my second list as well. Glen Scotia was in my first list, and that's gone.
So maybe do we want to talk about what we would like to try and get out of our last slots? Not the name, but what style or is that gonna? Are we setting ourselves up?
Yeah, we're saying a wee
Who's
bit.
on? Are we only? There's two of us.
I need a midfielder. I need a midfielder really bad.
Honestly, that you
It's-
could be saying to me that you need like the toilet in the sky. That means nothing to me.
Same.
Gregor, you need a home run right now, mate.
I need. Exactly. I need my
What does
bases
that
loaded.
person do on the team? Like, what's their function on the
A
team?
playmaker.
A playmaker.
What does that mean?
I need a point guard.
Again, don't know.
I need a quarterback. I need a quarterback.
You need to use our jargon. Come on now, bro.
I
Use it in
think
whiskey
basically
terms.
what Gregor's meaning.
He needs a bio break.
He needs a miracle. Really.
I know those.
I'm not sure what I need actually.
I think in cycling they call it a natural break. Don't they? Anyway.
I tell you what I could do with. I could maybe do with a young distillery, a wee up and comer.
Oh, I know where you're going.
A distill. Oh, it's not me though. It's not me to pick. So, Scott Monroe, you get to pick first. You get first draft in the last round.
There's some belters in my second list, but I'm going to go with my top 5. The last one in my top 5 is Imperial Distillery. Sadly, no longer
Outlier.
there. It's now been replaced by Dalmunnock, but Imperial to me is just a beautiful whiskey. You've probably seen a common thread here with my whiskies.
Yep.
Imperial can be kind of quite subtle in some ways, even at a good age, but it's a dram you need to just sit, just let it breathe, and then just take your time with it. It's fantastic. So I love Imperial. Again, I wish we could bring it back, but it's just one of my favourite distilleries. Sadly gone, but I wanted to put an older, not mothball, but I would say it's no longer there. In there, and that's one of my favourites. It's a great whiskey.
Lovely.
I don't have, it's again hard to get hold of for any decent price, but you can still find it. So Imperial for me.
I swear I heard you get a wee bit emotional as you were talking about it there, Scott.
Well, do you know, last year I visited the old site, or I visited Dalmunnock, which is an incredible distillery. It looks amazing, but there's no visitors allowed. But the old warehouses from Imperial are still there. So I bowed my head in reverence. But it's a great whiskey. I think it's just...
It was a great whiskey at the wrong time, right?
Sure. Yeah,
it was one of the most unlucky distilleries.
Yeah, it's such a checkered past, and it's when you get it at a good age, it's just fantastic. So the Longmorn, the Clynelish, I said Glengyle, Imperial. I mean, for me, Glengyle that I mentioned before was more of the bourbon stuff.
Glen Elgin.
What's that? Sorry,
Glen Elgin.
No, I was talking before. When you took Glengyle from me, but that was one of my top picks.
Sorry.
He took it from me too, for what it's worth.
I know, but it's ridiculous. Anyway, I'll stop rambling on. Imperial.
I love it. All right, next up with our last choice is Rachel.
Mine is, I was going to go Cardrona for my last whiskey. For
Ooh,
my international
nice.
one.
Oh, aye.
Because their stuff's just delicious. It's really good. I was kind of thinking in a way, when he said, oh, these are the only whiskies you can have, I wasn't thinking about paying for them necessarily. I was just thinking that would be the constant stream of whiskey you'd only be allowed, because Cardrona is pretty pricey right now. But I do really like the liquid. I think it's delicious, like really tasty.
I've not tried it. Is it different barrels, or is it kind of a standard release? Or
what they've done?
They were at 5, were they not?
They were at 5. Yeah,
I missed them, but
Jen was actually on the table. We were helping
I was working for them that day. Yeah.
So
they've got a 3-year-old, a bunch of 3-year-olds, 3 different 3-year-olds, some 5-year-olds, and then they, I think, are just about to release their 7-year-olds.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they're all not sponsored at all. One of our friends used to work at Cardrona, who she doesn't anymore, so we're helping her out for that. But I just love it. We've got stuff open in the shop, Scott. We've only got tiny little amounts, so if you're ever in, or we could send you some. But it's the same way. I'm trying to think of something comparable. But it's like really thick and really flavourful. It's really, really nice whiskey.
Okay, fantastic. That's good to know.
I think the fun of this game is all the wee nuggets wrapped around the game.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so. Jen, you're up with your last choice.
Oh. Yeah, I hummed and hawed about this, about various ones around the world, but I'm going to go for one that I think I maybe won't, I'm not really sure. I have a feeling they might have been, I've not kept up with them for a while. I visited the distillery like 10 or 12 years ago, I think, possibly. And I haven't really kept up with them since then. So I think they might have now been bought over by somebody big. But Tuthill Town Distillers in upstate New York.
In New York, yeah.
Tuthill.
That do the Hudson Baby Bourbon and the Hudson Rye. And
awesome.
Yeah, I liked the distillery when it was wee, and they do lots of different things. So I was thinking for more of a variety of whiskey drinking. They also make a really lovely vodka, which I don't normally like vodka, and a nice gin. And I think the bottle that I brought home from there, I think I might have brought more than one, but the one that I remember was the maple cask matured bourbon.
Mm.
I've had
Or
that
maple
one
cask
before.
matured something. I don't know if I think that can't be a bourbon. Maple cask matured anyway.
Yeah, I've had that gin. I was in New York and I picked up a bottle of that because I'd seen other ones available here, but I think the 4 grain, but I hadn't seen the maple one.
I
and
think that
brought it
was one of
back.
the other ones I brought, actually, the 4 grain.
Yeah, and it was like 50 cl bottles. I don't know if that's
Mhm.
changed. And it was really sweet, but it was actually really nice. Yeah, but that
Mhm.
was a while ago as well. That was a few years ago. I was in New York. So.
Yeah, I had a feeling that they maybe have been bought over by someone recently, but I can't, just something at the back of my brain is saying that. I can't remember if that's true or not.
Okay, good shout.
I used to live in New York when I was wee, 21, and I lived in a town called New Paltz, and I think it's a 5-minute drive or a 10-minute drive from Told. I've never tried any of the liquid from there, but I wasn't pronouncing it right either. I think I was saying Toot Hill Town rather than Tut
It
Hill
may
Town.
be. I don't
So-
know if I'm pronouncing it. I'm sure that's how they pronounced it when I
No,
was there.
I think it
but
just sounds more natural the way you're saying it as well. So it's one I
that
need
might be
to
the Scottish way of pronouncing it as well. You never know.
Toot Hill Town, Toot Hill Town, Tut Hill Town.
Toot Hill Town.
Tut Hill Town makes more sense. Much more sense.
Tut Hill
It's not-
Town.
It's
not
not.
the-
It's not the Wild West, Rachel.
Yeah, it's their
New York. I can't do it.
debut release.
Keep it going. Keep it going.
I'm from. I'm not gonna. New York, and I drink that Tottenham Hill Town bourbon. Mm.
Right. And at risk of insulting our American listeners, we'll
Right.
quickly move on.
Right.
Move
Yeah,
on.
I
Yeah,
started
move
it.
on.
I'm sorry.
Roy,
Yeah.
you get to go.
Yeah, listen, I've poured it just to make sure.
I saw you reaching for bottles.
Yeah, and I think this is arguably the best 3-year-old whiskey that is out there. That's how much I like it, and it's from England.
Kick
Frustrating.
him off. Kick him
Yeah.
off.
I'm going to go with White Peak.
Oh.
It's a good shout, man.
Mm.
White Peak. I've got their first batch, loved it, absolutely loved it, and then their general release was their small batch, second bottle now, loving it too, and they've just released another one, and all they've changed, I think, if I understand well, is the cut points. They've put out very similar presentation, similar price, and they're calling it Alter Ego, so it's the same product just with a different take. All they've changed is the cut points. That's a new thing that I've never done before, been able to taste close to like for like with just the cut points changed.
It's a really interesting choice, Roy. I mean, I think it's also a bottle that sold out straight away, but I think it's now staying in shelves a little bit longer now. White Peak stuff,
Yes,
the Wireworks.
yep.
I've only had one bottle of it, but it's good stuff. And that was last year, I think I got my first bottle, or the year before.
Was it the small batch you picked up?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Good
think it's
stuff.
excellent. I just think it's delicious, tasty stuff. Girls, have either of you tried it? No.
No, I've not.
I have a
I've
feeling I
not.
have. Would I have tried it at the Glasgow Whisky Festival? I have a
Mm.
feeling I've tried it somewhere, but I can't.
Scott needs urgent medical attention. Something's happened.
Nothing's
Scott's turning
happened.
Sorry.
blue. He's turning blue.
It's just that sip of Bowmore Tempest went down the wrong way.
It
And I've
happens.
just almost splattered my keyboard, so it's all good.
You're okay.
Sorry about that.
It's
can
going to
take
happen to me on a
yourself to
V pub one day. It's going to happen, and I'm dreading the time it comes. Right, you want to just
Sorry about that,
explode.
folks.
So I don't know. I don't remember it being at the Glasgow, but it absolutely could have been
Maybe
there.
haven't then.
Mean to try that. That sounds really good.
Mm.
So that's 2 bottles I have to bring up. I'm
Oh.
pretending like I'll remember.
You're
Having
pretending like
Jarek.
you'll remember, Roy. I don't.
I know. And Wireworks.
So
All
I
right.
was gonna. So is that the full picks?
No, I've got my last pick to go in.
Go on then, Gregor.
Yep.
Bring it home.
Hi. Well, I could talk through what options were there. I was maybe going to have because now it's all gone.
Well, can I just say, Gregor, before you start, so is it worth mentioning the ones that we still had on our list that haven't been mentioned? Is it worthwhile doing that, or
No,
Yes.
that could influence me.
No,
I've
just
still got to pick mine.
afterwards. I'm talking about.
Aye, sure,
After.
sure. No,
Sure.
for sure. Actually, let's do that after. Let's me just go straight into it then.
Okay.
So, what I was going to preface though was, I could try and pick something to be cool, or round out a list for other people's benefit. But I think I've got to go personal here. And if I think about this distillery, it had such a big impact on me, and much like Jen was saying of Ardnamurchan, being able to give you two things, I've now discovered this distillery can definitely scratch both itches. And I would maybe admit I still don't have a firm handle on its house style. I think I've had a lot of nuanced drams from them, but I've never had a bad dram from them. And in fact, one of their whiskies was my whiskey of last year. And my distillery, lastly going in, has to be Tomatin.
Oh,
Of course.
I had them on on one of my lists. Tomatin. Yep.
and of course you're talking specifically about that Kuboken 15, right?
Kuboken. So I get to get Kuboken out of the deal, which is,
Yeah.
I think, one of the most exciting looking, well balanced, peated.
And ridiculously divorced from Tomatin as well.
Yep.
You get two distinctively different spirits there. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Planted and unpleated.
Yes. Unpleated.
Planted and unpleated.
So I'll go. What I'll do is I'll read through everybody's for the benefit of the listener, because I'm sure you weren't tracking it down. And then maybe have a quick debrief on what we would have picked, or what the things that were left off, and then we'll round out with I Am a Distillery. But I'll go from top to bottom. Jen, 1 through 5, you had Tobermory, specifically before they stopped the 10.
Mm-hmm.
Ardnamurchan, Ardbeg, Glentockers, and Tuthill as your non-Scotch distillery. Rachel, you had Glen Scotia, Bunnahabhain,
Yep.
Coolila, Glenallachie, and Cardrona as your non-Scotch. Scott, you have Glenleash, Longmorn, Glenelgin, Heaven Hill, and Imperial. Roy, I can't even say it. We all know what you picked as your first one. Springbank. Glengyle, Loch Lomond, Benromick, and White Peak. And I have Brora. I'll qualify that as the OG Brora, because I can't speak to what it's going to become. Aaron, Buffalo Trace, Glendronach, and I've not had a dram, Glendronach, and Tomatin. So for the listeners, what we'll do is we'll share this list in a voting format, and maybe we give it a couple of weeks, Roy.
Will we now?
Aye, I'm giving this. Rob, you're welcome, by the way, because this is going to become your problem. But I think it would be fun to see what the community upvote of those lists, as well as hearing from theirs. But aye,
Would any of us swap with anyone else's list as well? Would you
well,
be happy with any of those lists?
Nope, I'm happy. I'm happiest with mine, I have to be honest.
mm,
There's lots of really cool things out there. There's lots of trading that I would do, but overall, I'm fairly content with how I've come out of this tonight.
If you had to choose another list, which list would it be?
Out of them all, if
Yeah.
I was to play a competitive game, I think I might be tempted by yours, Rachel. And if I was to play, I'm just going to sit at home and get pished. I would take Scotty's.
Thanks, mate.
I'd pick
I don't-
Rachel's, I think.
Yeah, I don't know how to take that as a compliment, Roy. I think looking down them, I think Jen's list would probably be more aligned to my taste as well.
mm.
Glentockers is such a good shout. I'd completely forgotten about Glentockers
Yeah.
when I was making the list. But do you know what? I think between all of us, there's actually quite a good selection there, isn't there? I mean, there's
I nearly ran out. My list was nearly exhausted.
but I think there's definitely distilleries left that we've got
Yeah.
on our list.
Oh
What,
yeah.
what,
yeah.
what didn't make it on yours, Scott?
So I had down, I had Benrinnes,
Yeah, of course you did.
I had Glencadam,
Brilliant.
and I had Bowmore. And I had Bowmore for the reasons that I talked about before about the Tempest, about the way what Bowmore can do. You know,
Rather than what they do, yeah.
Totally. You know, we've always some sparkling Bowmores. And I've said before that when Bowmore's done right, for me it's hard to beat. You know, and I love Lagavulin. Like Lagavulin is one of my favourite distilleries, but when Bamore's done well, to me, it's just incredible. So
It's peerless. Proper Bemore is peerless. There's nothing like it.
Yeah.
You would
So that
say,
was my-
Scott, you would say well done Bowmore trumps a Lagavulin? Is that?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Wow, impressive.
Yeah. I mean, I think so. Again, for my palate, those tropical notes
Sure.
we talked about before,
Mm.
it's, and I love Lagavulin.
And comparing Lagavulin and Bemore in the sense that we're talking, I don't think it's apples for apples either. But
So that was only 3 I had outstanding from the list.
I had Deanston as a bracket on mine.
yeah,
Great shout.
You took Longmorn, you bastard. I also had Rassy in reserve. I've just not had enough Rassy, and we all know I'm a fan, but I've just not had enough to kind of bump it up the chain. But I also had Linkwood in mind because
That's a good shout.
I've had some really nice Linkwoods in my time.
super versatile as
shout.
well. Super
Yeah.
varied. Yeah.
Rachel, what did you omit?
Mostly Scotch distilleries. I feel like this is almost a little bit unfair for world whiskies because I've not tried enough of them to have more in the running. So I did have Mortlach, where someone had
Mortlach?
suggested.
Yeah.
It's just great whiskey, delicious. Every time I've had Mortlach, then it's been lovely. I also did have Deanston, Bruichladdich, had that as well.
Bruichladdich, yeah.
Because I like their stuff. And then I was thinking I'd get Port Charlotte in with that as well.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah.
Had
And
Lindor
Octomore.
one.
And Octomore, yeah.
And Octomore, obviously, yeah. Give that to Jen. But also had Lindors, 'cause I really like the history of Lindors, and I like their whiskies they're making so far. I did also have a few, not wild cards, but maybe less predicted ones. So I had Highland Park, because I think Highland Park, like maybe a couple of decades ago, is fantastic, and it's changed a lot than what it used to be. So when I tried older bottlings of Highland Park, they've been much better. And then I had a few Irish ones. I had the Shed Distillery that makes Drumshambo.
Oh wow,
Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
Have you tried?
almost put that on mine as well.
Did you? Have you?
Mhm.
If you've not tried Drumshambo, you should. They use a proportion of oats, and it is delicious. It's like creamy in a way that I've not tried in any other young whiskey in the same extent. And then I did also. You can kick me off the call if you want. I had this as one of my options. I did put Jameson as well. Reason being is Jameson. So Jameson is such a global whiskey. Everybody knows it, and it's dead easy drinking. So you can do that in whatever cocktail you want. But also, like their Black Barrel and some of their more smaller batch stuff is more mass produced, but it is pretty tasty. So I had that also to have more international / Irish ones on my list.
Rachel, have you tried the Jack Daniel's single barrel proof?
Oh wow.
No, and I feel a few folk have said this to me, but I hear Jack Daniels and I'm like, ugh. But that's bad. That's being
I
snobby.
think you'll like it.
It'll redefine the way you understand an entire category.
So I should try that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, during lockdown at the Whiskey Club, we had a Zoom tasting in American whiskies, and that one did pretty well, and it was really good. It was beaten by, I think, William Leroy Weller, I think it was, that beat it, but it really stood up for itself. It was a really good dram. I mean, definitely worth a purchase, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
Really
Cool.
good.
I do need to try that one.
I think we have to pay over the odds for it here, don't we?
Yeah. I just thought they're a good. I do also have fond memories of being in Glastonbury. I work at Glastonbury most years, and there's always someone with a backpack of Jameson on giving it out to people, and I just like that. I think that's nice.
Nice.
That's
Wow.
It's like a backpack, and they've got like a wee decantery bit on their back, so you just go.
Oh yeah,
and
like a
pour
camelback.
yourself, some Jameson out their backpack.
I love it. You're making their life easier because it's getting lighter as you consume it.
Exactly, and then
You're helping people out.
Altruistic of you,
That's great.
Jen. What was there anything that you wished you could have maybe snuck on?
The only one of mine that got taken before I got there was the Glen Scotia. The other ones I subbed out myself for some reason, but I had Mortlach on there and Lafroig, and in my second option one I also had Arran and Balcones.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Balcones I was tempted for as well, actually.
Yeah, I was thinking Balcones when I was making the list as well, because I've had a few bottles, but Yeah, good shout.
Yeah.
The other international one I nearly put on, Cavalan.
Mm.
Oh yes.
So good.
Was tempted
So
by
good.
that one.
Yep,
Is it
Yeah.
Cavalan or Cavalan?
Avalon.
Because when they debuted their newest releases, I never know how to say it.
Come on.
Enough.
I've never seen Scott look quite as angry. Roy, anything you left off before we roll into I am a distillery?
Only one really. It's so the one I'd been running on there as we mentioned before, but I thought I was leaving it for Scotty, but he never took it in the end. Deanston and Rassy has already been mentioned, but nobody's mentioned Ben Nevis, and I thought that was the definite top 5. Kind of thinking maybe my Ben Nevis should be in there, but I seem to have ended up with a pretty funky list anyway. But the world whiskies were toughest for me.
Yeah.
Trying to pick just one world whiskey, I had a huge list. I had White Peak, obviously, that I went with in the end. I also had Iron Root, Piccadilly, the Indian whiskey we talked about. Balcones is on there, High Coast, Dingle in Ireland, and Smogen in Sweden.
Smoking.
So
yeah,
a couple of
course.
Swedish ones in there too.
I was thinking
So-
about even Cologne from Ireland.
Cologne, yeah. Well, we've just not been able to touch enough of it yet. But
Yeah, exactly. I've only had a couple of bottles, and it's just
Yeah.
not enough to try, but it's good stuff. Like if you like Irish whiskey, it's definitely worth a purchase.
absolutely, yeah.
What a great list of whiskey we've had though. Like,
That was fun. I
Yeah.
loved it. The sad news is all those distilleries that we just talked about, the ones that we would have picked, have now been obliterated by the meteor and they don't exist.
Yeah.
So you can only hope that the all the IBs have still got enough for you because it's gone.
No,
Good stuff.
I sacrificed myself with the meteor when I saw that happening. I'm not staying. Bye bye.
But you don't get to take Glenallachie with you. It's staying.
I'll burn and I'll watch Glenallachie as I burn. I'm not staying. That sounds rubbish.
I thought you were going back into the American accent there.
No.
Good stuff. Well, like we say, I think we'll do something with the results of this to then gamify it maybe further. Don't hate us if we don't. It was just an idea we floated, no commitment. But maybe before we round out, turn on the answer phone. I thought, Jen, you could finish us off with your I am a distillery.
So again, I'm like, this might be too easy or it might be too. No, I don't think it'll be too hard. I think this might be too easy. I've also
I'm not
realised
going to
I've
guess though,
got-
because I'll guess it straight away.
No,
Because we know.
You're not going to do it. Go
yeah,
on, do it.
Yeah,
Dare
We
you.
know each
I know
other's
you will know
brains.
this one, so
Well, yeah, no, I'll know. No, because we have the same.
you'll know
whiskey
this one on the
brains
first clue. So
often, so I'll not guess though.
okay.
yeah, I realised I have 10. Is that right?
That's
I have
okay.
10.
That's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, there's 10, but
worry.
it's really actually only 8.
But it doesn't matter.
Yeah, see,
It
I
really
have
doesn't matter.
10.
Just read the 10. We'll need it.
Legal
I'll just
10.
take them. Well, I'll give you extra clues.
As long as you go most obscure to most obvious in that order, right?
But wait, Rachel, do me a
I'm trying
favour.
to, I'm
Right,
trying to.
Rachel, do me a favour. Write down what you think it is based off of Jen's second clue, because the first one's I am a distillery.
Okay. Okay, I feel
I
like
could
I'll
do a
know.
mime of it first.
No.
Oh, go for it.
Feel like
No,
I'll
let's do
know.
that. Let's do that. Do the mime
Um,
for her. But Rachel, don't say anything. Don't say it out. Right. There you go. Bank it.
Okay.
Have you got?
Right.
You think you know?
and then write it down and fold it up so everybody knows if you've
Not
got
really.
this
I'm
on
not
that
really
mime.
sure what this.
Right. Oh,
I feel like you could
right.
wait till a few seconds, so I won't.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. Okay. I tell you
Alright.
what we need.
Take
I'll
it
do a
away, Jen.
screenshot. I'll do a screenshot. Do that again, Jen. And I'll do a. Hang on. Hold on the new, hold the pose, and I'll grab that screen grab. As Scotty knocks back
Scotty's
the
lying.
dram. I got it. Thank you.
I'm down the wrong hole again.
Okay, cool. Right. Okay.
Sorry.
Right, so someone else might have to count my clues here. So I am a distillery.
Okay.
My water source is fed into the distillery via an old mill lade.
Looking for Rachel's clues.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the one I thought it was then.
Okay.
So you got that on my mime then.
I'm not sure if your mime. I've got thoughts of what your mime might have been, and it could have been a few things, but I don't know if that may have been the source.
Dramface
Okay.
podcast, the only audio platform that uses visual clues and cues.
But it could have been something else because she had her arm shaped in a certain way. But I'm not gonna say anything else because I'm really
Right.
bad at giving away things. I've also had some whiskey now, so I will easily say it.
Yeah, I don't
What-
think we've actually done a blind tasting it where Rachel hasn't given away at least one of the drams. So,
Yeah.
Aye, okay.
number 2 or 3 would it be? The Lade was built by Thomas Telford.
Of Telford College.
The Telford.
I don't know Telford College.
Speyside Bridge. The Clifton Bridge. Lots of other engineering feats.
Oh, yes. Thomas Telford. That Thomas Telford.
I was going to Google there, but I won't because that might bring something up.
Mm.
All good.
4. I am a Highland distillery. Next one.
I'm tempted, but
Oh.
I'll hold my water. One beat more, at least.
Okay. The oldest expression released was a 40-year-old. Next.
Deanston.
What do I tell you or?
No.
No,
you
just
acknowledge
again.
it. Don't
Everyone's
react.
still playing along, yeah.
I was thinking
They're
about the
just-
water,
they're just
the
trying
water
to toy
source
with-
thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Their
The
ideas
distillery.
can't be that.
Oh,
Sorry.
the distillery is named after the town it was built in.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there's that dance. There's that funky
It's
chicken.
been a while. The wheels could come off yet.
I was forced to close due to the town being voted a dry town at one time.
Mhm.
Interesting. I'm not sure I can dance to it.
I could sing it and then you could dance.
Magic.
My workforce were at one time also all fishermen, and the distillery was only accessible by boat.
Pulteney.
Oh my goodness.
I'll say Pulteney.
No, I know what it is though.
Next one. One of my stills is the only one of its kind in Scotland. The next. How many have I got to go? Have I still?
Just
Make it
keep going.
easier. Jen,
Oh,
we're
let's just
making it
keep
easier,
going.
by the
No,
way.
it doesn't
We're
matter.
going to get easier.
It doesn't matter.
My whiskey is known as the Maritime Malt.
Aye. Oh.
And do I say it now?
Is that the last one?
That was the last one.
And then you say, I am.
I am Old Pulteney.
Oh my god.
Well done.
Yes!
Oh no.
Well
Brilliant.
done, Scott.
So what's
you.
the unique still? What's the unique thing about
They
this?
had to cut the top off.
Rachel got it on my mime.
They had to cut the top to get it to fit into the warehouse.
It doesn't have a swan neck, so it's
That's the chopped
it still
top.
is like
Yeah,
this.
They
If
chopped
you look at a picture of it.
that's brilliant. And I'm gutted.
I'm
Well, when you said-
most impressed. I'm most impressed, though, that Rachel got it off of the mine.
Yeah.
So your mime, to be honest, thought there could have been a few things. I wasn't sure if you were just trying to spell Old Pulteney to me and be like, The lead also. I wasn't sure if that was possibly the lead. But I don't think it was though. Is
Chop
it
still.
The stills.
That's the still.
The stills. So I had three things. I was like, the sign was either the lead or Old Pulteney the word, or I thought you did portray to me a coastal edge with that.
So all the interpretations of that one mime all ended up at the same distillery.
And I kind of, I don't know why. I just thought it was Old Pulteney. I just kind of thought it was Old Pulteney.
I think
That's
the
not
Lade thing as well, because we
interpreting
did this
mine.
recently.
We
We
did
did
that
this
tasting
recently
last
in a
one.
tasting, so it was in my mind and probably also in Rachel's mind,
Yeah.
particularly about the Lade.
As soon as you said about the lead, I was like, oh, that's definitely that one, because we've just
Right.
both looked about. So we'll
That's
look
good.
about the same things at the same time. So we're obviously, yeah.
That was a good one. That was good.
I
Fantastic.
had no idea Telford was involved with Pulteney either.
No.
I
I think
know
the
that
Lade was
there's-
built about 50 years before the distillery was built.
Wow.
What I like is whatever we do in all the build up to I Am a Distillery and whatever it is that we do in our rambling, at least with I Am a Distillery, there's a little bit of knowledge getting shared and people learn something. It's a good
Whether we
one.
retain it or not is a completely different thing. But,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Jen and Rachel retain it, which is good.
Yeah.
We do. We write it all down though for
I love it.
things. to
Well,
learn.
Jen, Rachel, thank you again for joining us. It does feel like a great way to round out our season 2 of the podcast. Roy, Scott, anything to say and share before I fully round us out?
When are we coming back? I suppose that's what we have to say. Are we going to just...
Let's keep them on the edge of their seats. Under promise, you can always over deliver. But no, it's been fun. Sorry, Scott, on you go.
No, I was going to say thanks to everyone for tuning in and listening to us rambling at whiskey, and thanks to Jen and Rachel for joining us again for more malt madness. It's been good fun.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for
always
having
good
us.
crack.
Yeah.
Always good crack.
Indeed. No,
Superb.
and thank you all for listening. We love
Yeah.
the feedback, however you give it to us. So by all means, react, share comments, whatever. We will be turning the Dramophone tape on. We've loved getting some of your suggestions and submissions for I Am a Distillery. It's a great way of kind of being part of the podcast, so by all means do that. And equally, if there's any questions or topics you want us to touch on, throw them in the chat or in the comments as well.
I
But
didn't want to interrupt that lovely flow there, Gregor, but I think we should raise a glass and say thanks to you as well, big guy.
Yes,
bloody
absolutely.
bother.
Cheers, our host.
Yes. Very, very well hosted, Gregor.
Cheers.
Thank you, Gregor.
Yeah, Dramfacers, have a great one. Cheers.
Cheers.
Hey, thanks to everyone for listening to the Dramface podcast for another season. We will be back for season 3 soon. In the meantime, thanks to all our supporting members. If you are a member, you can hit that Dramaphone button and you can leave a recording for us, whether that's some feedback, whether that's a question you'd like answered, or maybe even your very own I Am a Distillery for us to take the challenge on. We look forward to welcoming you back soon.
Because we're still recording right now.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it's stop now. Stop now.
Has it stopped now?
Has it?
Aye.
Oh.
Oh, Rachel's going to sing you a song.
Oh, go on then. What was it?
Shoddy.
Should I what? I think I know that one.
It's a very drunk Billy Connolly.
Shoddy.
Shawadi
That's
Waddy.
always my dad used to sing that when he was really drunk when he came home. Not like that was a regular occasion. That sounds bad.
Is
That
that the
was
one that
singing
goes,
yesterday in
Sherry, I love you. That one.
Sherry bro.
Might be that.
That's the one all my uncles sing.
Oh, really?
hmm
So what? So have I just gotten
I think you've just made yours up.
shoddy? Shoddy. That's all.
Yeah, I'm getting the rhythm. I'm getting. It's
Shoddy. Shoddy. You can imagine a few old fashions in
Oh,
into
Scott,
a pot. What still?
throw
Shoddy.
throw a beatbox over that.
Shoddy.
Shawadi
I was
Waddy.
singing
Your
yesterday, and
nose, your
confusing
da.
Gordon.
Your boss, your dad.
I've had one too many drams. That's the end of the song.
All right, Roy, you can stop it now. You can stop recording now.
No, Jen was just about to tell us that she was singing yesterday.
Oh, sorry.
You lied to me.
You might know this one because no one else. Do you know when you're? It might be the way I sing it that no one else knows it.
Oh, we know about your
But-
lack of a tune thing.
I was
yeah.
singing yesterday. Someone mentioned either the moon or a spoon, and like
We've
when
been to
videos
but
first started on
moon.
the internet, I think it might have even been before YouTube, and there was the little monster that sang, "We love the moon more than a spoon." No, see, blank faces.
So, like, once we left you, Roy, yesterday, and Jen was like, "We love the moon More than a spoon. The exact same tune you sing with
I love
most
that
things, you tell me. I'm like, oh, that's the same tune.
I only have one tune.
You do. You do.
Did we get to the bottom of what this
It's
song
all the one
was?
note.
You did find it on YouTube and you sent me it.
I did.
How close was it, Rachel, to the melody that?
My
I
phone's
think it
died.
has a nicer singing voice than me as well.
It did go up slightly at the end, but I think that may have been the only similarity. But you did a good attempt to doing it, I think, yes.
Thank
What
you.
was it called? Can you remember what it was called, Rachel?
My phone's died now, I can't remember.
Oh, I think
Something
I've
about
got it.
being
I
with
think
the
it's
moon.
called We Love the Moon.
You do know
More
this is
than
gonna
a
make it into
spoon.
the podcast, don't you? This is going to be in the podcast right at the start.
It won't be the worst thing we've had on the internet.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
I like. Aye, but it should be about the topic. Oh, I suppose. Mm.
Can I go and remove a small dog? Would that be okay?
Yeah.
She's broken in again. She's
Where-
short. I have
where
no
is
idea
it?
how she's getting the handle undone on my door.
Right.
I think Gregor needs time to come up with an inspirational title.
The game. It's a
Yeah,
bracket.
so-
It's the Fantasy League. I suppose that's it. The Dramface Fantasy League. Sorry.
Yeah,
Grand
That'll do.
Dramface Fantasy League grand finale.
the debut of it.
The Hackett bracket.
Hackett bracket.
Why don't I do that? I'm going to say the debut, the debut of
don't,
a new
Greg.
game, and just
No,
see if
no,
anybody
no,
picks
no,
up
no.
on it.
You'll trigger so many folk.
You're triggering me right now, so I'll find you, Gregor. I know where you live.
The debut.
Debut.
Sorry, thank you. They're behind
okay.
2 doors now. If they can get through that, then they can get in.
Well, as you can see from Gregor's seat, you held up nothing, gent. No problem.
Perfect.
Righto, here we go. The debut of the new game.
No, don't
All
say
right.
it.
Eh?
Don't say it.
There's no edges with me, Scott.
know
Don't
that,
limit
Gregor.
me. Don't box me in
I would
in the
never do that
way
here.
that a Chardonnay can't.
Gregor's infinite.
Aye. Yeah, exactly. Right, here we go. Best of luck, gang. Cheers.
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 All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Hello, Dramfacers. Welcome to episode 24, the debut of a new. The debut of a new.